I'm Katherine Ambrose, and this is Empowered Senior. Today we're covering untapped resources and your nest egg. Thank you so much for being here on Veterans Day. Botanica is closed today, but not for you. Yes. And you are welcome to go out into the gardens and enjoy the carousel and the children's garden. Some things are not open, but you're welcome to walk through and enjoy the garden. And that free admission comes every month with your free attendance to come. I'm going to call the veterans up. Any veterans in the room that would like to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Let's hear from you. What branch of military you served in?
Marine Corps.
Air Force.
Father of the Marines, the Navy.
Air Force.
Air Force.
Army.
Army.
How about that? That's amazing. And let's thank our sponsors, our education partners that help us fund this. Even though it looks like we're part of Botanica because they're so kind to put us on their website, that's just a kindness that they provide for you. But we pay to rent this room, and we pay for your admission into the garden. And we couldn't do the things that we do if it weren't for the education partners in the room. And so thank you very much, sponsors, for helping us fund this important mission. I'd also like to thank all of them and everyone else in the room that's serving today or has served in the past as an expert panelist, because again, we couldn't cover all this amazing content without them. So thank you very much for your participation. I know everyone really looks forward to the wisdom that you share every month. Okay, let's get started. Veterans, will have you lead us. Thank you so much, and thank you for your service. Doing the Pledge of Allegiance every month was something that I wanted to do from the beginning, and it's been well received, and we're real proud of our country and proud to be able to start every month with the pledge. And let's see again. These are our sponsors for this year that sponsor the seminar. So thank you guys. Feel free to have a seat at the tables. You do not have to stand during the seminar. Please have a seat with people and relax. And then you can take your stations back up afterwards for questions. All right. I'm Katherine Ambrose. I'm a real estate agent. But unlike any real estate agent probably that you would meet just about most anywhere in the country, because my focus is 100% on serving seniors and providing information on topics well beyond real estate. And I really enjoy doing it, and I hope that you will remember me every time you know someone that's thinking about buying or selling real estate or has any real estate needs at all. My husband Randy's in the back room, Rmd Ambrose. We're Ambrose team together, and we're ready to help serve you. Having some challenges with the PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Who all was here last month? So last month, it was Halloween, so we talked about something scary. We talked about scams and other devious plots. And what was the number one takeaway that we had last month? Do you remember? Who's got an idea? It's not a trick question, but I'm interested to see what you might say.
Don't answer the phone.
Don't answer the phone. All right, what else? Anybody else?
Don't buy into their fear factor.
Ooh, hey, that might be the winner right there. Don't buy into the fear factor, because that's how they get you, is they throw you off balance by creating fear. Who else has some ideas, takeaways from last month? And if you weren't here, maybe you have an idea about how to avoid scams.
Do your research.
Good. Pause and do your research. Take a moment to think. And don't let that fear get you. Do your research, do your due diligence. Anything else? What did I tell you to be like that day?
I have a question. Our phone, we have a landline still, is ringing up to 30 plus times a day. And I know this for a fact because 2 or 3 days in a row I kept track. I was home all day. What can we do besides just changing our phone number, which I really would like not to have to do?
That's a good question, and I think that's got a lot of people stumped. But thank you for recording that, because I think we've all wondered. And so now we have some numbers to back it up. Might be 30 times a day. That's crazy. Well, do not call list. I know you can keep signing up for those, but it doesn't work. So it's just an issue. So you have to screen your calls, and it's no better on the cell phones a lot of times. And changing your phone number isn't going to fix it. Mm-hmm.
Unless I recognize who the call is coming from and I feel comfortable that it's a legitimate call, I don't answer them. But we do have an answering machine. Now, is the answering machine feeding this into getting more and more and more calls?
I don't think so. That's my guess. I don't think it has anything to do with the answering machine. So it's frustrating. I hate those recorded calls too. You go to the trouble to answer a call and it's recording. You're like, they got me again.
Just answer the phone. Sheriff's Office, Fraud Division.
Hey, that's it. Sheriff's Office, Fraud Division. I love that. That's perfect. Okay, so we remember it was Halloween, and so I said, be a what kind of animal? Be a cat. Why? Curiosity. Okay, so that's my number one takeaway for you, but I sure like Carl's comment about fear. My number one comment for you all the time with Empowered Senior and with the Empowering Seniors television show is to stay curious. Stay out of judgment. Don't make an instant judgment. Just listen. Let it marinate. See what resonates with you. See what doesn't resonate. And then you decide for yourself. That's called empowerment, where you're open to receiving information, and then you run it through your filter, but staying curious, and just see if you learn something new, or after you've had time to contemplate it, you can dismiss it. So just stay out of judgment and stay curious, because usually people have a gift for you. So even people that seem off-putting or you don't like their message, if you listen to them, they have a gift. And it's a gift to others to listen. And so that's my number one takeaway all the time. I'm really having trouble with the PowerPoint. Okay. There. Okay, so I've been filming television shows like crazy, trying to wrap up season 2 for PBS Kansas. Who watches the show on Channel 8, 8:30 p.m. on Fridays? Awesome. Replays Saturday afternoon and Sunday evening. So we have a lot of great shows coming up, one of which is on these community quilters. These women were asked to create quilts for today, for Veterans Day. They're giving them away in Derby today at a ceremony this afternoon. They made 50 quilts in 2 months' time period. And see this lady right here? That's the first quilt she ever made in her entire life. And the ladies at the Derby Senior Center helped her and taught her how to do that. This lady is the main interview, and she said no one quilt will be the same. She designs all of her own patterns. They couldn't duplicate a quilt if they tried. And here's an idea. If you have fabric at home, maybe you've had fabric for years, you could donate it to community quilters. You could bring it here, or you could drop it off at the Derby Senior Center. And they have a closet where they keep these different fabrics, and they make all kinds of quilts, all for charity. And something I thought about is that you could even order fabric online and bring it here or send it directly to this lady. We're going to have her information, I think, at the end of the television show. or we'll post it on our Facebook page and in a website article for Empowered Senior. So I think that's just so cool, all the work, because what a gift. We can give fabric and they can turn it into a quilt to give to a veteran or to a child that's been displaced and they're in a children's home. I just think that's really cool. This Friday we're doing, the episode is on Museum of World Treasures. And so that's an interesting one. And then the Quilters is after that. We have a new show every week coming up. Okay. We have big news. Empowered Senior has been a charitable organization in the state of Kansas for several months, but now we are federally recognized for a 501c3. So Dee Haskins, please stand and be recognized. This was her idea. She's a volunteer, and it was all her idea to do this, and she did all the paperwork and made it all happen. So thank you, Dee. So our 501c3 means that we can accept donations and give tax-deductible receipts. And we do these seminars. We do speaking engagements. I speak all over town. We have other people that can speak. The television program that's weekly on PBS, that's something that I do like as a volunteer, and I really enjoy doing that. Personal and family consultations, we can come visit you in your home, or we can meet you at our office and talk to you about any of the topics that you would like consulting on. We do field trips and classes. How many of you went on the summer parade of patio home tours? Okay. And we're going to have a town hall next year and hopefully 2 parade patio homes next year. We do home finding and senior living services or senior living communities. We can help you find those. We do, as part of our 501c3, we offer our senior move services. We can help with decluttering, downsizing, and moving seniors. And we have this resource helpline that you can call us for any information on any of the people that we work with all the time, and also all the resources that we've developed. Okay, Dee, we're going to hear from you for a moment. She's been running the video every month, which is totally outside her comfort zone, but she's done a great job, and today she hired a professional to help. So,
thank you, Katherine. I wanted to say that the reason I thought that a 501c3 would be appropriate is because I said, Katherine, you need to have a way for all these people that you're helping to thank you. And so I felt that this was a really good way to do it. So thank you, Katherine, for everything you do, right? Yeah. So part of the 501c3, as a bookkeeper, I'm aware of some of these things, that you can give a donation to a favorite cause, whether it's your church or Empowered Senior or something else, and you can get a benefit. Okay, so let's say you have a stock that has a very great increase in value, and you don't really want to take the gain because you don't want to pay the capital gain. Let's say you have capital gains in a whole lot of other places and you don't want to take that gain. You can take that stock and give it to a charitable organization, and they can receive it at full value, full market value. You get that benefit on your taxes as a charitable contribution, and you can take, and the charity receives that stock, and then they can sell it, and they don't have to pay taxes. So nobody has to pay taxes on that particular transaction. The same thing happens with required minimum distributions that you might be taking or need to take from your IRA or your retirement funds. In an IRA, the government requires you to take a required minimum distribution off of it every year. If you have a large one and you really don't want to take that gain, you can actually transfer that to your charitable organization, and you don't have to pay tax on that, and the charity benefits. So, and it reduces your taxes by showing that you have made this charitable contribution. So just wanted to share those things with you, and if you have any questions later, you can ask. Thank you, Katherine.
thank you. So I learned about the RMD this month, and then she told me about the stocks, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect to talk about at our seminar. We also can take any kind of gift as a charitable organization. It could be a vehicle. We did an entire program on real estate gifting. Like if someone has an old cabin and they don't want to go fix it up, it's 3 states away, and they want to figure out, how can I do something with this asset and simplify my estate? There is something called charitable giving of real estate, and so that's something that we can help people with as well. So you can fund your favorite cause, you can fund your church, and it can be done through that. Home equity annual checkups. We can do that for any homeowner. We can do a checkup on your house so that you know what your equity position is. So if we're talking about untapped resources and your nest egg, for most people, your real estate is a very large part of your nest egg. In fact, real estate creates wealth in this country, and it's one of the important factors for retirement, because most people will rely at some point on equity in their home to fund their retirement. And so just like you know what your bank balance is and the balance on your IRA and everything else, it'd be prudent to know what the balance is on your house. How much is my house really worth right now? And then we can update that as time goes on. Also, we can help you weigh out updates and deferred maintenance and improvements for aging in place, and help you with pre-planning a future transition. We'll just remind everybody to silence your phones. So I had to, that is something that Randy and I can do for you. If you want to keep your nest egg as large as possible, or if you're on a fixed income, we don't want to see you spending money that you don't need to spend on your real estate. So have us out. Let us help you figure out what's smart to spend money on, where you can spend a nickel to earn a dollar later. We want to help you do that. Seniors are oftentimes taken advantage of, but also I think maybe it's not the intention of some of these companies to take advantage of you, but it's just what they charge. And because seniors sometimes don't know what all the different options are, they will go with a very, very high contractor and spend way more money than, let's say, my husband and I would, because we're in real estate and we know how much things cost and who the different people are that we could work with. We'll see people spend 3 and 5 times at least for the same job that we would have done. Is that right, Randy? So we don't make any money on passing this information on to you or providing you resources. We just want to help, and that's how we've always run our real estate business. Sometimes seniors will write a check for $30-some thousand when they could have written a check for 12 or less. Okay, so I just want to make that really clear. It's an important part of protecting your nest egg. So contact us or meet with us today, and we'll set up an annual home checkup for you. Okay, I think Downsizers Club. We've talked about this before. We're rolling it out in 2022. So you come to the monthly seminar, and we cover big topics in a big room with a lot of people. For those of you that don't know where to start on downsizing in the future, we're going to have Downsizers Club. We'll have it one time a month. We're going to figure out what location it will be, and that will be an additional thing you can come to instead of or in addition to this seminar. You're going to get a 3-ring binder, and you're going to get homework. So if you'd like to participate in it, it's going to be good, and it's going to help you check through the different steps. Meet with the people that can provide free consults in lots of different areas to make sure that you're not missing anything. And a lot of the people that we work with, they just said, until we met you, we just didn't know where to start. And so we want to provide a class that helps people do that. So if they don't think they're ready yet or they want to get ready, that'll be a way to do it in a class environment, in a group environment. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. Well, let's have our panel up. So our expert panelist, please come on up. And Kara, we might as well have you come up while they're getting settled. So we're going to make a quick announcement while they're taking their seats.
Thank you, and happy Veterans Day. I'm Kara Tipton. I am with Home Instead. We provide in-home care services for seniors, and we have what's called Be a Santa to a Senior that just kicked off at the beginning of the month. Right now, we're in phase 1, so the purple page. We are taking names of seniors who might need a little brighter Christmas. So what we do is create Amazon wish lists for them, and we're able to make sure that they have gifts that are actually sent directly to their homes so that they have a little bit of a brighter Christmas. So if you know someone who is in need, feel free to take the purple page. I've got it over on the senior services table, and it has my contact information. Let me know who that is, and we'll make sure that we can get them an extra gift. Phase 2 actually starts on November 19th, so next Friday. I have a page on that as well. If you would like to donate, you actually can go to our virtual Angels Tree. You can pick a senior to adopt. Once you purchase those gifts off their Amazon wish list, they will get sent directly to their home. So if you want to make a senior day brighter by either telling me someone who needs it or donating your time and money, that would be absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much. Thank you.
You want me to do my thing and then okay. Katherine had asked me to be on the panel, but David is going to take my place because, and actually he is far more an expert in veteran affairs than I am. So, but what I did want to share with you, and there's a card in the back, and I have been doing a lot of volunteer work since I started working with David at LT Care Solutions in the veteran community. As a veteran, I'm kind of uniquely qualified to help other veterans because I understand where others are coming from, and I have a passion for it. One of the insurance companies recognized that, and they do not want their name mentioned because this is a volunteer. This is a volunteer work for me rather than part of my business. It's alongside my business. It's called the Veteran Resource Center. And what I do is I find veterans in the community who need help in some way, and I help connect them with organizations. It could be through the VA. I have a lot of connections with people at the VA, Vet to Vet, Support Command, Veterans Bargains, and many other resources that are out there. And I do a lot of different things for people, but one of the biggest things that I do is help them build trust in the organization that they're going to visit. And I have actually gone and sat with veterans during their first visit because it is so hard sometimes for people to go and ask for help, and they really need to trust the person that is sitting across the table from them. And it is so rewarding to know that this person is getting help with their PTSD because now, after so many years, because they finally found that connection. And I also work with the Vet Center that is over at McLean and Central, and Seneca. And in that area. So these cards are in the back. If you know a veteran, if you are a veteran, if you could pick it up and just hang on to it, and if you see someone who needs help, I would really love to help them.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks for that service. Because dealing with the VA and a lot of the veteran benefits is so difficult, and having a resource where you aren't just told what one organization does, but you have information on all the different organizations out there, that's amazing. And you said veterans that need help, but don't you think that probably most people that are veterans and have benefits coming to them, that at some point they would benefit from these resources?
Yes, and that's absolutely true. Sometimes I find that veterans don't know benefits that are available to them. I know that's what today's kind of all about. And they are struggling with something, and they do not realize that there is an organization out there or a part of the VA that's there to help. Caregivers is one. There's a whole support system for caregivers in the VA system. So that's just one example, yes.
So I've been at this for 3 years, networking, putting on television programs, putting on seminars, and that's a new piece of information for me. Everything to deal with aging is so complicated, which is why we have Empowered Senior, and there's something new to learn all the time. So where are these cards? Where did you put them?
They're back in the corner.
Okay.
And if they run out, they can ask you to give my contact.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much.
And I'm going to go help somebody now. I have to leave.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Mary. She does a lot of community work. I see her all the time on Facebook and just things that she's doing, so it's pretty amazing. David, you got a good hire there. Okay. I'm still struggling with that. Okay, I guess it works. I just panic. And I panicked there for a second. I was trying to get Randy's attention because David's foot piece broke, and I think we've been dealing with that for a couple months, so I apologize for, for having that little hazard there. Thank goodness. All right, so this is David Landwehr, and you're the founder of LT Care Solutions. So tell us what that is, who you are, and you're going to tell us a lot about untapped resources, benefits that people don't know, veteran benefits, but also maybe benefits for everyone. We're hoping we're going to surprise you. So get some paper and pen out and be ready because you're going to be surprised just like I just was and learn something new. So get ready to write down what you learn and write down some questions for us. All right, David.
And just introduce them. Okay. Yes, my name is David Landwehr. And 30 years ago, I was doing investment banking for industrial revenue bonds. And I found that all the people who I ran into had to liquidate money. When I asked them why, the answer was always the same answer. There was never a difference because my spouse or myself had a change of health and they had to liquidate their life savings. Well, everyone obviously wants to protect their life savings, but most people don't, or unfortunately. So that's what got me into long-term care, and then, of course, Medicare as well. It's kind of an insurance company. Well, as a consequence of doing that, I ended up, about 17 years ago, I found out about a benefit for veterans that nobody knew about it. I call it forgotten income for forgotten people because it's so true. I've done 10,000 plus seminars on these and over the last 17 years, and when I ask people who knew, hardly anyone knows. 17 years ago, I went through the training and got accredited as a VA accredited agent. At the time, I was the only one in the state of Kansas. I think I still am. So most people don't want to deal with it because it's hard to deal with a VA. But there's some great benefits, I mean great benefits for people who are veterans. Can I ask a question here on this? Sure. How many World War II veterans or surviving spouse of a veteran by raise of hands are in the room? That used to be my #1 area that I worked with. Now that's gone. How about Korea? Korea veterans or surviving spouses of a couple? How about Vietnam? Veterans or surviving spouses? That's the main group we're working with right now. And there is a benefit that you can get that it used to be within 60 days. You came to me, within 60 days I could have you qualified and ready to go, and then we'd file. That's changed. Now you got to do it 3 years in advance. What's the #1 asset that most people have that is going to cause them a problem? Their residence. You can work with Katherine. We can put together a residence trust, and let's say you're 75. I actually had this happen. The guy was 75. His health was fine. He didn't need anything. But he wanted to get it prepared so if something his health changed, he could get this $27,000 a year tax-free benefit. That's a lot of money. If you're paying for an assisted living, for example, you're looking at $60,000. Well, you got almost half of it covered. So we did, and so I told him, well, anytime after 78, you're good to go because you now have all your planning done. Well, at 82, he ended up having a problem. His wife, Pat, is receiving $27,000 a year to help take care of him at home. That would not have happened had we not planned ahead. He would have got zero. So I feel very strongly that people need to learn about this and plan ahead or you'll never get it.
Thank you. So that's why we're going to have homework and Downsizers Club to make sure you don't miss this kind of stuff because you've got to take care of these things 3 and 5 years in advance. We'll hear from the attorney on the panel and different people. Also, education partners in the room. Be sure to be thinking about how you can add to this. We talk about Empowered Senior Seminars. It's a candid conversation. And we talk about real stuff. And I want you to be thinking about how you can add. Shawn Snyder, can you come on up? He needs a chair too. Okay. All right. So, yeah, protecting your house is really important. So Felicia can talk about that. All right. Chris Hyman with Senior Services. Senior Services is a nonprofit, just like Empowered Senior. They've just been around for a long time, and they do some amazing things. Chris, welcome.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Katherine, for having us out today. So yes, my name is Chris Hyman, and I am the Development Director for Senior Services of Wichita. And my first question will be, does that name ring a bell to all of you? That's great. It's a good number of hands. For those that didn't raise their hands, and this is kind of common for us when we do presentations in the community, is that they don't necessarily know our name, but they know our largest program, and that's Meals on Wheels. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, have you heard of Roving Pantry?
Oh, very good. So we've got some very empowered seniors in this group. Wonderful.
Between those two programs, they can provide 100% of the nutritional needs of a senior out there.
Absolutely. Our Meals on Wheels program is focused on the 950 homebound seniors that we serve every single day, every weekday. They are typically low to mid-income, very limited resources, probably not a lot of family support, and our volunteer force that's made up of maybe over 400 regular volunteers that come out each weekday to help deliver 75 routes. They might be the only individual that person sees that day. So while I look at this crowd and I don't see Meals on Wheels clientele, there could be a need at some point in time, or you may know someone that lives right next door or down the street that might need that service. I also see in this crowd that, that there's a lot of possible volunteers. This looks like a very active, energetic crowd. I bet there are a few people out here who have volunteered for Meals on Wheels or experienced that. Has anybody done that here? Yeah, we got a few people out there. So we're always looking for volunteers. It's a time commitment of about an hour to an hour and a half once a week, once a month, however often you'd like to do it. We do have individuals and companies that are doing it every single day. It's really an empowering experience, really. It can be pretty life-changing for our volunteers, some of which we've had for over 40 years. They get very connected to their clients and the people that are on their routes. So that's sort of one side of what Senior Services does for those people, homebound specifically. We try to keep everyone in their own home and out of state-funded nursing facilities. The other side of the coin is what we do for active lifestyles. We operate 5 programs for people that have active lifestyles that want to continue to stay connected to the community. We have 4 senior centers spread out over the city: downtown, Linwood, Northeast, and Orchard Park. So those centers are more than, people think, oh, a senior center is just where you go to play bingo and drink coffee and play cards. But that's also a place to get Medicare Part D counseling, which is what they're doing right now because it's open season, open enrollment season. Open season. Hunting. It's that season too, and if you've been through that Medicare maze, you do feel like, yeah, it's fitting on many levels, isn't it? Because that is such a maze, like Katherine said. So much of what we do with seniors is complicated. You can go there to get that assistance. You can get tax assistance. You can learn to play pickleball. Pickleball is the biggest, fastest growing sport in the nation. And Senior Services actually brought that sport to Wichita back in the 1990s. Yeah, from the West Coast. We saw it played out there in the senior centers. So we brought it here to play, and now it's just exploded. Maybe some of you visited the Chicken and Pickle venue. You can do all sorts of things at the center, from playing pool to learning yoga to getting foot care to getting seminars much like this, to just stay educated, stay informed, stay connected. It's the key to healthy aging. It keeps people out of nursing homes. It keeps people off of Meals on Wheels. We also have a senior employment program for job seekers age 55 and better. Now, 55 does not sound like senior citizen age. I'm close to it myself, I'll admit it. There you go. I'm just behind you, not only a couple of years. So, but when you find yourself unemployed at the age of 55, maybe you've worked the aircraft industry for 25, 30 years. You don't know anything different. You don't know how to go online and apply for a job. That was not what you did when you got hired in your profession. There is still a lot of bias out there on the older worker. That's what our employment program can do. They will help break down that barrier for employers. Talk about all the positives of hiring a seasoned professional who's committed, timely, dependable, some of those kinds of things. And it's really impressive what one full-time and two part-time people do in that program. They see about 1,200 job seekers a day. They place about 700 of them in employment. So real proud of that program. It's kind of our, hidden gem. Again, thank you for having us out. Kind of covered a lot of it. And
Thank you, Chris. All right, so who's had one idea for an untapped resource so far for yourself or for someone you know? Have you heard? Okay, good. 2 people so far. So Craig, it's up to you. All right. I didn't have you sit in order, but I have you up here. Because I know sometimes it's really helpful to see the names up here. Where did your slide go, Craig? Okay, your slide is missing, and I don't know why. I apologize, because I made yours. All right, Craig Corl. It's spelled Korol, and it's Corl.
Financial Group.
Okay, so I've already had Craig come out and visit my mother, and tell us what you do.
In 10 words or less.
Yeah.
Well. Oh, that's fantastic. So my name is Craig Corl, Corl Financial Group. What we do is provide full-service financial planning for clients. The close to my mouth. Okay, everybody hear me better now? Okay. Katherine and I met each other about 3 or 4 years ago. She spoke at our, I'm a president, this is a happiness, I'll be soon a past president for the Financial Planning Association here in Wichita, Kansas really. But so Katherine came out, spoke to our group, and we struck up a conversation that day, and since that time have kept in contact. She's helped a client of mine with some very I'd say dramatic moves that client had to make, it was the ability to watch that happen, and the heart part of that behind the scenes that meant a lot to me. So the friendship struck up there, and our firm basically, if you go to our website or wherever, you'll see the words educate, enrich, empower. We feel we do a lot of just education meetings for clients of ours or for companies that we try to have clients be prepared for retirement. Retirement readiness is what they call it today. Now, I see Dee, when she put her scope up there, the things that she talked about, she actually stole a couple of my thundering pieces, but I'm going to go through those anyhow and talk a little bit about some of the things that we do today that you might not have thought of, just a couple of tips. And then I'm going to hit on one other topic, and that's that what's the number one question when we first meet somebody, or even when we're meeting for a client for a review today, the number one question. You might even have an idea of what that might be, because you're all sitting here thinking about what's happening with the market and those types of things. So, but I want to go to the RMD situation that Dee mentioned and talk a little bit about that. Now, I'm looking around the room, and most of you don't know what an RMD is. It's a required minimum distribution because you're not close to 70.5 or 72 yet. So I'll take that as the number one spot. But once you do reach that age, the government basically says that you have to take money from your qualified retirement plans, your IRAs, your 401k, and you actually have to, if you're not working for your 401k, you actually have to start taking money out of those plans. Traditionally, it's around 4%. That's a rough number. So what we've seen over time is that when our clients come in, that they don't say, their question is kind of interesting. They say, how much do I have to take from my retirement plan this year? And my point is always, how much do you want to take, right? That's really the great question. The government changed the rules a couple years ago, and they pushed out another year and a half. They said you don't have to take your RMD at 7.5, you have to take it at 72. But there was a unique thing that they left alone in that, and that is if you're gifting money from directly from your IRA directly to your charitable organization, that gift can still be made at 7.5 as an RMD. So it gives you the ability to gift, and we have clients who do this at the end of the year. They actually look at what they have to take from their IRAs, and they say, I want to take my RMD and give it directly to these 3 organizations, these 4 organizations, this one organization, it's the 501c3. It becomes a way for them to be empowered to give that money away. And then we also have, from the standpoint of the RMD, past 70.5, they can certainly do it after that. If you want to do gifting from your IRA before that, they don't have the same rules are not available. I'll mention one other thing, and then I'll be quiet until we ask questions a little bit later. So the other item that I really wanted to touch on was anytime we're sitting down today, the first question we're getting is the market overpriced. I don't know if you've looked at the market and what your accounts have done. And then they always want to know what should we do and all of that. So my suggestion is this. Is the market overpriced? Is it a concern of financial planner? Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the market's had a pretty good run. If you would have told me last March, by the way, I'm a financial planner, so I don't go to the casino and I don't make bets, okay? I only bet if I know I'm going to win, and my boys say, we're not taking that bet because you know you're going to win already, so we're not betting with you, okay? So the thing that I would have bet against, and stating all that, is that the market would have done what it did from the pandemic last year till this year. We've had a lot of things go on during that time. But it also gave me it gives you the ability to take a step back and say, we've done really well in the market, so we should be looking at our allocation. How are we balanced compared to where we were before? And are the things that I should do to protect some of those gains that I've already had? So that's a really simple thing to do. If you haven't met with your planner, then meet with them, ask them those questions, and go through the process of actually working through where we're at today versus where we were a year ago, okay? So I'll be, of course, here to answer any other questions, but I'll stop there because I could ramble for a long time.
Yeah, he said we all can. I was so proud of myself getting these, and I was typing yours out when I talked to you, Felicia, and yours is gone too. So this is Felicia Acosta Steiner. It is Coral, Korol. Am I pronouncing it right? Okay. All right. So this is Felicia Acosta Steiner. She is the attorney in the room. So we'll want... I thought it did. She said it doesn't make me any smarter than anybody else. Well, we think that you know some very important things, so thank you for being on this panel, Felicia.
Good morning. My name is Felicia Acosta Steiner. I'm sure I don't have a slide because my name is considerably longer than most. I am an attorney at Legacy Legal LLC. My practice, I specialize in estate planning, probate work. So when a person passes and their property was titled in their name, I help families get those assets into the family's hands. I also specialize in guardianships and conservatorships. So when someone loses capacity, whether that's mental or physical capacity, I help a third party or another person manage those assets for that person or their health care needs. I also am going to, at some point, but I haven't started yet, I'm specialized in adoptions. That's just something else that is very close to my heart that I want to work on. So a little bit about me. I am originally born and raised in the state of Colorado, so I'm licensed in Colorado as well, but I don't currently practice in Colorado. I practice solely here in Kansas. I've been at Legacy Legal for, it'll be, I think, 3 years. Doug and I, the founder, and I think he has been on the board here a few times, we take a holistic approach as far as our estate planning for our clients, meaning that we like to know a little bit about yourself personally, because how we develop a plan for you is important based upon your wants, your desires, your faith, your education, your work ethic, and those ultimate beneficiaries that are going to be receiving your assets that you're passing. So that's something that we very much take to heart. We also believe that everyone is worth more than their dollars and cents and the zeros in their bank accounts. And so we want to make sure that we have all of your thoughts and concerns while we're drafting an estate plan for it to be fully comprehensive. I know that there was some discussion about Medicaid, and I will warn you right now that I don't always have the best news as far as Medicaid and estate planning, because the probate law and Medicaid law, they were never meant to work hand in hand together. They are conflicting roles, and the government always wants its pay when it's due. And so if you were to receive benefits from the state at end-of-life care, or you needed Medicaid assistance at some point, then if you have a home, they can put a lien on your home. If you devised that piece of property or conveyed it, gave it to someone else within a certain time, and the government thought we still want to get our just rewards, then they can still go after that conveyance if they don't believe it was done in a way that you paid fair market value. If you were to, there's a 5-year look back as far as Medicaid goes. That doesn't always mean that you are protected either. For the most part, people, like I said, there could be a conveyance issue that the government doesn't believe that you did the right job in conveying that property, that you gave it for no consideration. Say you gifted it to a child, then the government can say, we want our money, because they are entitled to that. Generally, what happens if a spouse is living in that property and they do a Medicaid lien against the spouse that died, so say you have husband and wife needs Medicaid. If at some point wife passes, they won't kick husband out of the home. The government, the state isn't that cruel. They'll allow him to remain for life in that home, or there's some other qualified beneficiaries, maybe like a dependent child, someone who was dependent on mom and dad because of a special needs instance, then they will allow that child to remain in the home. But once that's all said and done, they'll take that portion of the spouse. So if it was half, the other spouse never used Medicaid, but the one spouse did, they'll take half of that property to get repaid with whatever it was that was given out. Now, if it's over and above the house, you owed you have a house worth $1 million, and spouse only used $250,000, well, they're not going to take $500. They're only going to take what's due to them, the $250,000. So that's something to think about. Generally, because Kansas does not have a state tax, and because the federal tax exemptions are so high, clients don't come to me asking for asset protection. Federal government tax exemption right now is 11+ million for a couple and 5.4 for an individual. So for 99% of Kansans, they don't need asset protection during life. What they come to me for is they want asset protection for their beneficiaries in their death. So when someone does an estate plan with me, they want to make sure that whatever they're giving to their child is protected from an angry ex-spouse, a creditor claim, meaning bankruptcy, or if a child were to get in an accident or to be sued, they want to make sure that mom and dad's nest egg that was handed to this child doesn't get taken from that child. So there are mechanisms that I can help you with so that doesn't happen. There are also things that I would probably advise against that you do, and there's probably someone in this room, and you don't have to raise your hand, that has put their child's name on a bank account. They have put their child's name on a house, and those could create issues for the child. It could also create issues for the parent. So those are things that you might want to consider, and I would suggest that you can reach out to me, talk to me. We do a half-hour free consultation. I'm happy to discuss those issues with you, and then if you want to do an estate plan, I'm happy to do that. So you can give me a call at our office. My name is Felicia Acosta Steiner. I didn't expect to talk that long. I apologize. I really quickly want to say happy birthday to the Marine Corps. Their 246th birthday was yesterday.
All right, so this blonde curly hair, does that look familiar? If you've been coming for a while, do you know who this is? Cherie Fleetwood with American Senior Benefits. Now, I know I did not make a slide for you. The other two were a surprise, but I didn't make one for you, but everybody knows you. Probably not, but you can call us and we will pass you on to Cherie. So Cherie is awesome. Thank you for being on the panel.
Good morning. Like she said, I'm Cherie Fleetwood. I am a Medicare retirement specialist with American Senior Benefits here in Wichita. We are the regional office in this area, but we do have offices all over the nation. So, like we said at the beginning, it is open season. Actually, it's called AEP, Annual Enrollment Period. That is used for two things. That is used for your Part D prescription drug plan, as well as your Part C Medicare Advantage plan. So this is the time that the government says the entire nation gets 53 days to make a decision. Some people get time outside of that if they have certain extras from the government, Medicaid, LIS, MSPs, that kind of stuff. But for most of the states, 53 days. So during this time, I don't know if I'm coming or going. So if you have called me, I haven't called you back, I apologize. I promise I will get back to you. But I highly advise that you do your review every year. A lot of times people say, well, nothing's changed. Yeah, that's a bad answer. If you've changed a milligram, if you changed a tablet to a capsule, or vice versa, it can completely change your plan. So make sure that you are doing your review. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, make sure your doctors are still in the network. They can jump out if they choose to. A lot of times you're going to get a letter that says, I'm no longer going to cover this plan. If you happen to get missed on that letter or they didn't do their due diligence, it would be horrible to find that out at the counter. So just make sure you do that. My company does everything. So if you remember when you worked and you had group insurance, HR handled everything. That's me. I am the human resources of retirement. So I handle everything from your health insurance, your life insurance, all the little extras that you need, all the way through your financial needs. I handle anything you need me to. Of course, I don't have any kind of fees. I will answer any questions that you need. You can call me, email me, text me at any time. My job is to make sure that I educate. That is what I like to do.
Some of the services that people get, they might be able to get them for free at different places, maybe their church or something, but the difference might be licensing. Okay, so please just real quick, less than 60 seconds, tell us about that.
So there's a lot of volunteers, and I'm very grateful for the volunteers, but the difference between them and me is the standard that I'm held to because I am licensed with the state. I am also licensed with 8 states. So when you get information from somebody, great. Just make sure you're getting it, and if you are enrolling, do it with somebody that is licensed to do that. You don't want to get enrolled into something you're stuck in for the next 12 months.
And that would be true with David Landwehr's company as well, LT Care Solutions. Okay, so the downer, Shawn Snyder. The guy nobody wants to know, but I think you should know this guy because he's really helpful, is Shawn Snyder. So can you guess what he does? Mortician? Yeah, he'll take that. Okay, I have a slide for you, Shawn, so I'm going to hand you the mic and let you talk.
So as I had my coughing fit there, obviously, I woke up with a tickle this morning, and so here I am. So again, my name's Shawn Snyder. I'm with Heritage Funeral Home. We office in Andover and El Dorado. However, we serve really all of Sedgwick County, all of Butler County. I can be super brief because I can promise you that pretty much everybody up here is much smarter than I am. I have a very limited amount of knowledge about a very specific thing. So, and that's where I come in talking about leaving a legacy and that nest egg and making sure that you have plans and can be a part of those plans so that when something does happen, and your family is sitting with somebody like myself, they're not out there spending ridiculous amounts of money to try to show their love for you. You can have a part of that and go through that. So, yep, absolutely.
Shawn, you're saying that if you don't plan things in advance, your family will probably overspend because they want to demonstrate their love for you. So you might think, well, my kids know what I want, but they probably will go way above and beyond what you would want them to do. That's one of the things that they notice a lot in that industry. Emotional spending. Okay. And I want you to talk about veteran benefits that you're aware of, because you're the first person that made me aware of some of the benefits that veterans have related to your industry.
Yes, and that's a fantastic process there. So veterans and their spouses, typically when they pass away, are entitled to a number of benefits. And of course, the gentleman that deals with veteran benefits probably is even more acquired to that than I am. However, number one, you are afforded a cemetery space in any state or national cemetery so long as you pre-qualify and pre-fill out their information and send it in. For yourself and your spouse, so for the veteran and their spouse. You you also, with that space, then you are afforded a monument or a headstone as well. Now, the key to this, obviously, is there's not a state-owned cemetery in every single city in the state of Kansas. There's not a national cemetery in every city in the state of Kansas. But if you're willing for your family to be able to travel to see you and be a part of that, it is a phenomenal process. Their grounds and facilities are absolutely impeccable. The services that they provide are absolutely wonderful, and their staffs are just fantastic to deal with. So you get the space. You get the monument or marker. They provide the opening and closing of the cemetery space. Now, I'm going to portray this and ask real quick, how many people have cemetery space in here already, somewhere in the city of Wichita? Okay. How many people here spent more than $2,000 on their cemetery space? I bet a pretty big chunk, honestly, because the cemetery spaces in this city are extremely high. Most of the time when you buy that cemetery space, you still have to pay for what's called opening and closing charges. These are things that occur at the time of death. This is when the cemetery grounds crew goes out. They take their tractor, they dig the ground out so that the casket can be placed. They place the ground back. That is opening and closing. These fees range anywhere from $450 all the way up to $2,000 to go out there with a tractor and open and close that grave. So for a veteran to be able to go and have that space and have that opening and closing and have that monument or marker, sometimes veterans are easily saving $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 by going and being placed at a veteran cemetery. You can do burial at a veteran cemetery. You can do cremation at a veteran cemetery. You can do both. They do have walls and niches where cremains can be placed as well. So pretty fantastic options there for veterans. You're also afforded a flag. Every veteran that passes away, it can choose to have a flag. I always push for this. Every once in a while, you get a veteran that just, military service, I just did it because I had to. And they don't want to have a part of that, and that's their choice. But you get a flag. You get at least a two-man crew to come out from your branch of the military and perform the honors at the gravesite. Everybody's probably been to one of these. This is where they come out. They play taps, they fold the flag, they present the flag to the next of kin. Those are just the things that come during the funeral service. Oftentimes, spouses and family members, there are other military benefits available to spouses and folks like that. And again, I'm sure the gentleman that deals with veteran benefits probably has more information on that as well. So there are lots of options when you talk about veterans and the benefits available to them in the funeral industry.
Okay, all right, so we're going to start some questions, and then Christy, I haven't forgotten about you, so we'll get you up, and people are going to love to hear from you too, and we'll have you take part in the Q&A.
I was just going to ask here, when you say veteran cemetery, is that including a regular cemetery that has veteran space?
Or a national federal owned cemetery property.
And where are those state-owned cemeteries that locals use?
So here local, you're going to have Winfield, you're going to have Dodge City, you're going to have Waukene, you're going to have Larned, not Larned, yeah, anyways, northeast up time, but here, local, Winfield's gonna be your closest option.
Okay. Did that answer your question? Okay, any other questions here? All right, got a question back here. Hello, Queen Connie. Queen Connie of the Red Hat Ladies is going to be on Friday's show, I think, Connie, because I'm not editing it. We're going to do a whole episode on Red Hats of the Red Hat Ladies when you do your convention in April. But we did interview her while we were at the museum, and I think it's a wonderful interview. So I think it might be on Friday, or we're going to save it for that special April episode. All right, so Connie leads a large group of Red Hats. Do you know what the Red Hat Society is? Who does not know what Red Hat Society is? Okay, so you got some work to do, Connie. Okay, what's your question?
My question is, if you prepay for your funeral and the funeral home goes out of business, is there anything you can do?
Yes, fantastic question.
Fantastic question. In fact, if you prepay and they don't go out of business, but that's not where you want to go, what happens? What are your options?
So the reason this is a fantastic question is because most people aren't aware of this. Most people think I prepaid, that's where I have to go, that's what has to happen, and if they close, I'm just out of money. This is not the case. Funeral homes have to place that money in one of two financial vehicles, either an insurance policy in your name and information, or into a CD in a bank, in a trust, with your information. That money is still yours, even though you have given it to a funeral home in return for goods and services. So obviously here in Wichita, we have a lot of folks in the aircraft industry. We have a lot of folks that end up here but maybe are from somewhere else. They plan a funeral here. They end up moving home with their children somewhere else. That funeral plan can move with them. Same thing if a funeral home closes. That plan is still there. It still exists. It's still in your name. The money is still there. You simply go to a new funeral home and you tell them what you have and they tell you what they'll offer. Now, they don't necessarily have to guarantee the same things the original funeral home did, but smart business would say if you show up and you have a policy and you want to use me, I'm going to say, absolutely, let me do that.
And I think that at least 4 of the other panelists have a lot to say on that topic. Does anybody have something really burning to add to that? Sheree, I saw you move.
Okay, so I worked for a funeral home for a short amount of time. It was a learning experience for me. But what I will tell you is that when I was a counselor there, every funeral that I took care of, they came in and said, Mom and Dad said, everything's taken care of. It's all taken care of. Nah, it probably is not. The things that people forget, if you're going to pre-plan and have everything taken care of, number one is that opening and closing. Most of the time, it is not taken care of and nobody else knew it. So, like he said, $400, $500 to $2,000, they're coming out of pocket. So that is what I've learned a lot of things in the funeral home, but that was one of them. So make sure you get a checklist, and if you really don't want to leave anything for anybody to pay for, that's one of the big ones.
Sometimes they'll say everything's taken care of, and then when you open up the file, it is just like a cost estimate. Nothing really got done. Nothing at all, but they think it's done.
In the late 80s and early 90s, counselors were actually trained by the companies to tell people when they were leaving the office, it's all taken care of. Just tell your family to call us when something happens.
Puke. So I went to one of your industry seminars. These people are innocent. They had nothing to do with it. But I went to one at, what is that buffet place off of like West Kellogg? Golden Corral. So they lured people in for this delicious Golden Corral buffet, and they sat down. These people are starving because they're looking so forward to the Golden Corral buffet. And the doors close, the people in the room, and they're told, we're going to do a 45-minute presentation or whatever long first. And the counselor that we assigned you to in the back of the room, after you listen to the entire presentation, you're going to fill out your form to set your appointment up for next week, and then you're going to take it to your counselor in the back and then tear off the strip. They're still using the carbon copies, and then your little carbon copy is your meal ticket. They timeshare meetings. So I think that they are using 1970s tactics, and that is not empowering, and I don't like it one bit. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Another thing is transportation fees are not, to another state, are not covered.
So she says transportation fees to another state are not covered.
And the VA stuff is really kind of up in the air because they have it in writing and then it changes, and then 6 months later it changes again. The basics are there, but the specifics kind of depend on who you talk to. And I was actually going to say, when Felicia was talking about Medicaid, that's probably the best explanation of Medicaid I've heard when it comes to funeral plans, including from Medicaid themselves, because depending on who you get, depends on the answer you get.
That's why you hire an attorney to be on your panel.
Well, I was going to say, if you take one piece of advice from me, it's this. If you get something for free, if you get something that is low cost, if a friend does something for you, it's probably not the right person. Would you go to, you're going to be left, what I have is I have clients come to me all the time, and they say, Mom and Dad took care of this, my uncle did this, my aunt did this, they got this online. What I tell them half of the time, or probably 95% of the time, is this will is not valid. This trust is not valid. Whatever they have tried to save money in doing is not valid. And at that time, they have to spend, these beneficiaries, these heirs have to spend at a minimum $5,000 to get even a car titled out of mom's name back into their names. Okay, that's a car. Now, if we're talking house, it goes up to $6,000 current rate. Where if you got an estate plan for $900, you could have taken care of all of these things. $2,750 if you had a trust, and that would protect it from creditors. And so in things like this, when you do it for inexpensive means, you're going to get what you pay for. We know that. I wouldn't go to an attorney if I needed a neurosurgeon. I would go to that neurosurgeon, okay? So remember that what you get what you pay for, and you've worked so hard for everything that you have. Don't rely on someone who doesn't have an area of expertise to handle that disposition of it when you're gone, because those are people that you care about, your family members.
Isn't there a saying about an attorney that uses themselves as client as a fool? Okay,
yeah. An attorney who uses himself, or attorney who represents himself and has a client for a fool. That is true.
Okay. So use an expert. Go to the experts.
I will say on the whole free thing, I have no charges, and I promise it is as good as it is.
Okay. Good, because I was going to say the same thing. Randy and I do everything for free, don't we? We do the TV for free, we do the seminar for free, we do consults for free. We do all the work clear up until the time that your house actually closes. And so we don't... Yeah.
I'm not going to have any idea how to sell a house.
I guarantee you we can get you more money. And also, I was going to say, people in our business, they'll say, my dad's going to do the home inspection. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, boy. Dad can come. Dad can help. But you still need a home inspector. And a home inspector is cheap, and they're invaluable. They're doing these inspections every single day. So that's why you get professional.
Well, since funerals seem to be the topic of the day, I have a story on that too. My mom, I don't sell funeral trust or any of the insurance products, but I have three agents now that do work in that area. So I just bought one, and it was for my mom, and she ended up, she was on hospice, and we knew she was going to die. I mean, I've seen the blue on the arm and all that, so you knew. And so it was midnight, and I called the company, the insurance company, and I said, well, I think we're going to need a funeral done. Well, she had done the planning, but the next morning at 7 in the morning, after she had died at 5 in the morning, I had a call, and they had 3 different quotes on the complete package. I mean, from opening, closing, the whole works, everything. And it just took so much pressure off of our family because it was done. And then they said, go out and pick out a casket, and then call us back. So they did. I did, and we picked out a $3,600 casket. And they said, okay, we can get you that casket. Go to this website and have them bring it in. It'll be $500 freight. Well, delivered, it was $1,500. We saved $2,100 on the casket just because we went through this company that knew what they were doing. So I don't do it, but I have agents that do. And they also work with Medicaid planning, too. You have, in the state of Kansas, you can put $7,000 into a Medicaid family trust. It's a funeral trust. And that way, when the person dies, that money is exempt from Medicaid taking it. So it allows you, you're going to have a funeral somewhere, so you put the money in, and then instead of spending down to $2,000, you have the $7,000 as exempt asset for the funeral. So it's wise to, if you have somebody going in that direction, get a hold of somebody that knows what they're doing and do that.
Very good. So did you know you could shop around for casket prices and you can have the casket delivered to the funeral home of your choice? Did you know that? Did you know there's a wide variety of costs of cremations? And what if you had a tragedy in your family and you had a child die, a baby die, maybe even stillborn or miscarriage, that not every funeral home does cremations, and that there's a big variety. Somebody could be quoted $3,000 or more for cremation, and someone that specializes in that maybe can do it for $50. So we have a lot of resources for you. This is what I do full time. If I'm not out talking to you about your house, I'm out networking with people and gathering information. So thank you for sharing that, David. That was something I wanted to mention. One thing you said, though, was that you're going to have a funeral home one of these days, or a funeral one of these days. I hope you do. I hope you don't say, I don't want a funeral. I hope that you think about it isn't just about you, but it's about the people that love and care about you. And it's important. Questions? Who's got a question? Oh, Christy, come on up here, because you actually, who is a little bit curious about what their personal property is worth, their stuff is worth in their house? How much money you could make on an estate sale? Do you wonder, like, if you sold everything that you weren't going to keep, do you wonder how much money you could make? Yeah, they do. They do. This is Christy McClellan with Christy Mack Estate Sales.
Hey, guys. I have to recognize something today. Today would have been my mom's 81st birthday. She was so proud to be a Veteran Day baby. My grandfather served in World War I, World War II, and Korea War in the Navy. So we are very proud of that legacy that he left us. And I wanted to say, when my mom passed away, she, of course, had done the pre-planning. They wanted as much, and she was cremated, they wanted as much to open her bench and put her ashes in as if the tractor was out there. And you know what? It made me mad. And second of all, they never told me that we would have to pay that after Mom died and we had our first meeting. And I'm not going to mention the funeral home because my whole family is there and they've always been good with us. But that really upset me. So you know what? Mom's ashes sit right outside my bedroom because I'm not going to pay $700 to have her ashes put in there. But, you know, I was a caregiver to my mom for 7.5 years. And I think that's kind of why God led me and my husband, Michael, to where we are today, 3 years of doing estate sales. And it's just, I think people are very happy with what they get when their items sell. And I don't think they realize what they have. The only thing is sometimes mom and dads, I think, you know, we were talking about the kids, wanting to spend more money than they should on a funeral to show their love. Well, sometimes I think parents do that with the kids and give them everything that they have that's worth anything. And then sometimes we come in and it's like, you don't have a whole lot. And that's kind of the position that we were in this last time. We're having a sale start Wednesday, and we had to do a lot of work to bring consignment in. We do a lot of multifamily sales because this happens quite often. So this family downsized and moved to California to live with the daughter. And the really nice things that they had left, they gave to the son who still lives here. So they didn't make any money off of that, and that was what they chose to do. But your assets really do. They can bring. Every sale we've done this year has been over $20,000. Now that's multifamily, but I think that with the market the way that it is right now, you're seeing a lot of people shop estate sales because furniture stores can't get your couch in for several months, or your dining room set that you want, or your bedroom set. So we really do try to mark the items to where they're going to sell the first day and not sell the fourth day, because we do 4-day sales for half off. And we just had a lady consign with us who saw me on the TV show from Newton. She had Schneider glass, which I had never had a piece of Schneider glass. It is stunning. So we're going to have some of that in our next sale. And she's already starting to downsize a little bit here and a little bit there and consigning with us, which is something else that you guys could think about. Catherine's mom, Barbara, who just moved here from Chicago, same thing. She's been consigning some things with us that she's had, just trying to clear space. And so we do that as well. We are booking for 2022, and we're really excited to be going into the new year. If you're wondering how estate sales are doing right now, we are so busy. We have a great following, and we always open Wednesdays 4 to 7, and then we do all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday 8 to 1. And we are so busy. People are getting out. They're shopping. We are known for doing very clean and organized sales. We try to price things fairly. We don't price them to sell half price day. We price them to sell the first day. And so, yeah, we're very excited. The other thing I wanted to mention, too, is sometimes, we have more downsizing sales than we do people who have passed away. But we do those as well, obviously. And if mom or dad had a car, we work with you on that as well. We don't take the 35%. We had that this summer. And it's so funny that you were talking about it because we sold the cars, and then guess what? The title to the car was in dad's name, stepdad's name, never got converted over to mom, who's now in a nursing home. And it was a lot of work. It was kind of a mess. Thank goodness the buyers of the car, but we do a discounted rate on that. So we do a 65-35 split. The client makes 65 and we make 35%. Just to remind you, I've said that in the past. So, but if you have any questions, ever want a consult with us, we will come, we'll sit down with you, we'll meet with you. We would be happy to do that. And
Well, and I was going to say, Christy, that you talk about 35%, which I think is low. I don't think you charge enough because you wouldn't believe what kind of work they do. But I always tell people that her 35% doesn't really cost you anything, and I truly believe that because I think that you make way and above the 35% that you charge because of all the promotion and work that you do.
Yeah. So we just had a gentleman that we had met with, and we called him back to follow up, and he's going to do his own sell. And I just smile and say, okay, you know what? Don't do your own sell. I'm serious. You don't have the following. When you have a business like ours, we're on estatesales.net. We've built a relationship with people. We've built our business up. You will get much more of a following. And wonderful companies in this town that have done the same thing. Please do not have your kids talk you into doing your own sale, because I just don't think that it is really worth it. And I do want to mention my friend Michelle here with me. She is part of the Christy Mack crew, and she helps us set up. She helps us tear down. She knows how much work there is, and it's a lot of work. And out of that 35%, we also pay credit card fees. We pay our employees, we pay advertising, and but that's really one thing I want to really press today is try not to do your own sale. It really is worth it. Yes, dear. Well, like I said, we are booking for 2022. We had a big sale that we were going to be starting, and our clients postponed. She decided to wait till the weather warms up a little bit, which we're just as busy in the winter as we are in the spring and the summer and the fall. So don't think, oh, winter's not a good time. It just depends on our schedule. So the one thing I can tell you is that I have a granddaughter due January 21st, and it's my first, so I know that's where I'm going to be for a little while.
That's something that we can help you coordinate too, because to me, the estate sale part of it is one of the trickiest things. So we design the sale of your home, the moving of your stuff, everything that happens. Randy and I coordinate every single thing, and we book a lot of it around when the estate sale can be done. So we just happen to have an opening for January because our client postponed, really not just for the weather, but she wanted to have one more Christmas in her house is what it was. And the home that she was going to move into in Kansas City fell through. So that's why. And so we're still working, our team's still working on decluttering. Donette is still helping her declutter. We even offered to help put the Christmas decorations up and all that. So we're going to work on that. So, okay, so I'm sure there's probably questions for everybody here, and it's about time to wrap. So at 11:30, you're free to go. If you want to stay and ask more questions, you can. Panel, before you leave, I want to make sure we get a picture together.
Where does she advertise?
She advertises on estatesales.net, which is really important, but she does a lot of other advertising. And it's very important that if you hire an estate sale person, that you look at the marketing that they do and go visit their estate sales. If you go to one of Christy's estate sales and you don't want to buy more stuff, don't take your money, because she makes everything look so good. You are going to walk out with merchandise. I'm serious. I'm serious. You've never seen an estate sale like this. And so when we go around looking for more estate sale people to help fill in, there's nobody that compares. So, okay, who else?
If you take things on consignment and they don't sell, then do you call the person to come pick them up, or what? Do you move it on to the next sale, or what?
So when we do consignment, and I talk pretty loud, so I think you could probably hear me without the microphone. When we do consignment, we try at least 2 sales, possibly 3, just depending on what your items are. It is your choice to pick up. Like the lady in Newton, she wants her items back that do not sell. So we'll give it, a good 2 to 3 times to try, and then we will give her back what she brought to us.
So the consignments really help us, because sometimes we have a house where they can't fit, they just don't have enough. So this is a good way to bring other people's stuff in. So we're helping people declutter and downsize other places. Some people live in places where they can't have an estate sale in that neighborhood, or they just choose not to, and so their stuff will go somewhere else. So we help you figure out all the pieces.
Now, we did have a lady that called me today, and she wanted to know if we did online, and that is not something we have gotten into. Tammy Stubbs, who's been on the panel with Stubbs Estate Sales, has done several online, as well as Ellen L Estate Sales. That is definitely not something that we have.
And you've got to be careful, because I checked into that, and it is so expensive.
Really?
Yes, because what some of these companies might charge to pick up everything, inventory it, put it in their storage unit, I mean, it is crazy. And so you've got to be careful. So I'm a certified senior downsizing coach, so I can help you weigh out all of your options. And I'm going to make sure that you know how to get the best estate sale person. That's what we offer. So I have her on speed dial. Did that answer your question? All right. Let's take one or two more questions, and then after we get our photo together, then you please go and talk to any of the professionals you'd like to talk to. And if you need to reach them later and you don't know how, just give me a call. You have my number. Okay?
Oh, I'm so glad that was on my list.
How's that work out for everybody?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that. So what about reverse mortgages? So unfortunately, JR Mortgage wasn't able to be here today. We aired an episode on that topic on PBS Kansas maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, so we have a little episode on that. JR Mortgage is usually here, but I can speak to that. The new reverse mortgage is called Home Equity Conversion Mortgage, HECM, and it is a heck of a product. It isn't for everyone, but we can get you all the information so that you can see if it might be good for you or your loved ones. And if you're 62 or older, it is definitely something to get the real details on because it can just be life-changing. Randy and I have had clients that have lived on their HECM mortgage, where they lived on their house, they got income every month, that is how they paid their bills, that is how they bought groceries, that's how they did everything. And they got completely upside down in the house because they just depleted all the money out of it. Well, guess what? With the reverse mortgage, you can just fill out the paperwork, which Randy helped them do, and we sold their property, but they didn't even have to worry about what it sold for or anything because they had no obligation. And we helped them get senior living, and they're in good shape. Does anyone else have anything to say on that? Okay. So we have an expert that's an education partner on that topic. Did that answer your question? Did that answer your question? Okay. Do not call the off the TV commercial. Okay? Do not talk to your bank. Do not talk to anybody that says they do reverse mortgages. Call me and let me tell you if they really do reverse mortgages. Because there's a lot of us in town that do certain things. There are only 2 people in this whole entire city that I would ever trust to talk to my family about a reverse mortgage. 2. So make sure that that's who you're talking to. One of those people. One is JR Mortgage. Any other questions? Okay. So like Cherie says a lot, you want to talk to somebody that you can meet in person, lives in the city that you do, hopefully, or close, and that you see them face to face. So you don't do your legal work online yourself. You meet them face to face. And not every attorney is specialized to help with the issues that you have. That's why you go to an expert that may be called their law firm Legacy Legal, because there's a reason they're helping to protect your legacy. All right, so next month, we're going to talk about the end of a year and the start of a new one, and Christmas and holidays, and we're going to talk about a life with purpose, living a life with purpose, and setting a new focus and direction for next year. So I hope to see you here next month. We always do the second Thursday of every month. We're going to take January off, just like we did last year. So we're doing 11 seminars a month, and hope to see you. All right. Thank you very much.